Does Lizzy marry Hector? Nan chooses to attend Lizzy's party as her wedding day draws closer, and Guy advises that he go with her so that they look like a team. Everyone is delighted to see Nan, but Guy's presence makes Lizzy uneasy. But a few hours later, he asks her to meet him in the garden. Lizzy first decides against it and gives Hector her whole attention. She makes the decision to meet him before the end of the night, particularly when her sister makes a speech discussing how she deserves everything and needs to make the best decision for herself. Guy enthusiastically tells her about his and Nan's agreement when they first meet and asks her not to wed Hector. But Lizzy notes that since they would still be married after the separation, their affair would still be illegitimate. In the meantime, Mabel has a passionate talk with her mother in which Mrs. Elmsworth explains to her how much she loved Montreal and had considered living there for the rest of her life, but that everything changed when she met her husband in New York. She suggests that Mabel give herself the same chance. This strikes close to heart, especially after Mabel learns that Honoria has the opportunity to travel to France and try new things. Even though Honoria believes that she should stay behind for Mabel, Conchita pushes her to leave when she says that Honoria has recently opened up a lot and that Mabel can see how thrilled she is with the idea of teaching in a French village. By the wedding day, more than just Honoria will be traveling to France. Blanche is certain that things will return to normal after Nan returns and that she won't be needed as much as she initially believed. Reed offers her the chance to start over in France, and she accepts with pleasure. A devastated Theo, meantime, ruminates on losing yet another lady he loves to another guy. However, he rushes to the chapel and meets up with Lizzy as she shows up in her wedding gown, and she allows him to share his thoughts. Theo advises her not to wed Hector because she deserves a relationship that fulfills all of her desires, not because he is in love with her. Being with Theo will deprive her of the legality of marriage, which she deserves, and being with Hector will deprive her of the desire she shares with Theo. She is forced to pick between Theo and Hector rather than between them. His remarks resonated with Lizzy, and she pauses as she returns to the church's gate. Even though her friends are observing her with curiosity, Lizzy's expression makes it obvious that all of her reservations about marrying Hector have now reached a boiling point. Her lack of desire to wed Hector was not due to her relationship with Theo. Ginny finds herself at a crossroads. Ginny changes her mind about opposing C-Down, while Nan returns to her role as the Duchess. She was certain that all was hopeless when she fled her spouse. However, after spending months away from him and her home, she considers the prospect of a reunion, and his unexpected arrival makes her question whether he has truly changed. At least on the surface, he gives the impression that he has improved as a man. He attempts to improve relations between Ginny and their son rather than pressuring them to return to England. Ginny is wearing the dress he got her for their honeymoon when they first meet. When they first meet, C-Down says she has finally begun to prioritize her wants over those of others, even if it means Guy has to sacrifice his life for her. He gives her the tickets to return home the next time they meet, implying that she ought to regain her life. He reassures her that everything will return to normal when she questions whether her homecoming would not have repercussions. Ginny is reminded of what he did to Lizzy when he says that he picked her. C-Down becomes noticeably agitated at this abrupt change of circumstances, and Ginny chooses to depart with Freddie as old emotions of hurt and grief begin to resurface. Paloma confronts Guy about Nan in the interim, but he is more worried about Ginny's absence. He informs Paloma that he and Ginny are not married and that she is escaping her violent spouse while he worries about her whereabouts. They sigh with relief when Ginny returns safely, at which point Guy and Paloma share a drink and he briefly updates her on Nan and their complex predicament. When he no longer feels like talking about it, he and Paloma go out and have fun and drink more. They kiss and share a bed as their evening comes to a close.